we're doing a podcast.
We are.
We wanted to talk about LGBTQ plus history. And it's something that's been stirring around in our heads for a few years. And this is the start of our recording.
It is. And it feels like we're in a time where the world is becoming more turbulent, more populist, more polarized. And we want to find a way to document LGBTQ plus lives. And I feel like we're maybe a transition generation where the generation before us experienced real hardship. Mm-hmm. And we haven't seen that in the same way. And I feel like we want to find a way to get some of that down on tape.
And I think the on tape part is really important. There are histories. There are histories of the LGBT movement. There are histories of lots of the organizations that you'll probably hear us talk about over the next few episodes. But they're often in big books or they're in archives. And some of the archives you have to have an academic credential to even get into. So that's why I think the podcast idea was important to us.
And it's about thinking about the testimony of people who lived through some of the hardest times in LGBTQ plus history. But more importantly, not just thinking about the hardship and the suffering, but the joy and the celebration of some amazing lives.
100%. The hearing from people who witnessed and in some cases wrote history. And it's not that we're going to be able to talk to everybody who did that, right? Some of the people who wrote the story of our lives today aren't with us anymore. But let's start with the people who are. Let's start with the people who are still around and hear what they have to say.
And at the same time, help us as a community understand, I guess, where we've come from mm-hmm. and the journey that our community has taken and how we've got to the point we're at today, but also how quickly positive progress has been made. I think we also need to worry about how quickly negative progress can happen.
And how quickly all the things that you fought for can be taken away from you.
Yeah.
We should probably say who we are.
We probably should.
So I'm Jonathan. I grew up in Jamaica. I'm Jamaican. My parents are Jamaican. My grandparents are Jamaican. So I grew up in a society where it is still, in 2025, illegal to be gay. And then lived in Canada, and I've lived here for over 20 years now. And have always been interested in the history of our movement.
And I'm James. I did not grow up anywhere exotic. I grew up here in the UK. But even here, it was illegal to talk about being gay at school. I couldn't, gay marriage, civil partnerships did not exist when I was growing up. And so even a country that's now regarded as very progressive on LGBTQ plus rights is not, in very recent living memory, has not been in that place. And we've been second-class citizens. So it's so important that we get this down and that we get this tapes recorded. So I guess over the course of this podcast, we are going to interview some of the people who've had that front row seat, who've been there when changes have happened, who've actually, in many cases, helped write that history and helped create that societal change. And so I do hope you enjoy listening to this podcast, and we're really excited to be presenting some guests to you.